Trump started a war with Iran, and our air bases, our military bases got hit. There's casualties, and we have demonstrated that we are unable to protect the Middle Eastern countries in which our bases are located in. So effectively, this empire could be coming to an end, and if the Middle Eastern countries pull their money from the US dollar, from the US, then yeah, this empire will be coming to an end. I wonder if we're going to end up fighting a world war as a response to that, as an act of desperation, and will Gen Z be willing to fight it? So he pretended like he was going to negotiate with Iran. He attacked Iran. He took out their leader, took out a lot of their leadership, but the core of their military is still intact. The core of the IRGC is still intact. They're actually underground. So despite the B-2 bombers, despite the F-35s attacking, despite all the US bombs and the Israeli bombs, Iran's military, the militaries, because there's two of them, the traditional military, then there's the IRGC, they're pretty much intact. And now the son of the old leader is in charge, and he's more radical than the last guy. And a reporter recently asked Trump, hey, what's going on with this war? Are we getting towards the end? And Trump basically said that, yes, we're getting towards the end of this war. But then a reporter pointed out that, oh, somebody else in his administration said that things are just getting started. I think Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who is completely incompetent. But anyway, there's a lot of incompetent people in this administration. He basically said, we're just getting started. And when a reporter asked Trump about that, Trump said that, well, the reporter asked, which one is it? Are we just getting started, or are we wrapping up? Trump's response was, both. Both. Okay, we're just getting started with this war, and it's almost over. Both. What the hell? I mean, we are in a real mess. And there's talk of, okay, what happens if Israel uses nuclear weapons? What happens if the United States uses nuclear weapons against Iran? Most of their military, they're underground. They're in mountains. So even if you're setting off nukes, like how effective is that going to be in destroying their military? I think they can use the nukes to take out cities, but then you're just mostly targeting civilians. And speaking of that, they had a situation with the schoolgirls. The 150 so schoolgirls who were killed. The U.S. used a Tomahawk missile to take out a school. Apparently, it's a double tap. Well, there's a lot of controversy about what happened there. Trump said it was the Iranians, but they don't have a Tomahawk missile. So what the hell? It doesn't make any sense. And then Pete Hegseth said that, well, they're investigating. Two very different answers. Trump's trying to make it seem like, oh, the Iranians bombed their own kids. And Pete Hegseth said, we're investigating. We're investigating. Okay. You can't figure out whether your own bombs hit a damn school and killed mostly kids, schoolgirls between the ages of 7 and 12. You can't figure that out in a timely fashion? Oh, we're investigating. That's a good thing to say when you don't want to say, oh, we screwed up. So this is a absolute cluster. I won't finish the rest of that, but it's a disaster. And I don't, there's no smart way for the president to really get out of it other than to admit that he screwed up. But that's one thing he's not capable of doing. He doesn't want to look weak, which ultimately is a strong indicator that someone actually is weak. So this is beyond politics at this point. If the United States bombs Iran, will Russia get involved with China retaliate against the United States? I don't think so. But I could be wrong, because for a while we didn't think that Iran was going to do anything if the United States attacked them, because they didn't do anything the first time last year. But here we are. And then we have the issue of American injuries. Apparently over 100 or so Americans were injured in these attacks when Iran hit our bases. At least that's the official story now. We don't know what the truth really is, but apparently most of them were able to return to work. Again, we don't know the truth. We're hearing BS from Iran claiming that, oh, they hit aircraft carrier, U.S. aircraft carrier They're claiming casualties over 1,000. They created over 1,000 American casualties. All this BS. We can't trust anything that either side is saying. It's part of the info war. I know that, but it seems to me that if you want to be effective in information warfare, you at least put out a lot of truth, so that when you do spread false information or misleading information, you have enough credibility for it to be effective. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Who knows? But anyway, I'm getting frustrated with the whole situation. But hey, just do your best to be prepared, because we don't know what's going to happen here. Anyway, I'm working on my channel, my secondary channel called Reginald Keigler, where I talk about Blu-rays and 4Ks and movie reviews and stuff like that. So I'm enjoying doing that as well. So you can take a look at that. I'll put a link below. But here's my question of the day. If there's a World War III, if you're Generation Z, are you going to fight? And if you're not Gen Z, do you think Gen Z is going to fight? Do you think they're going to fight for this administration, for these individuals? Because Trump recently was accused in the Epstein files of harming a 13-year-old, engaged in inappropriate behavior with a 13-year-old. I'll just leave it at that. I see why he wanted to hide all this. He's innocent until proven guilty. Will he ever see a courtroom? I don't know, but these are accusations. I don't think a lot of people are going to be willing to fight for this guy, fight for this empire where they abuse little ones, eat. Well, I'm not going to finish that either. Can't say that on YouTube. Like, who's going to be willing to fight for this empire? Especially when the average Gen Z can't afford a home, or average millennial struggling to afford a home. You know, people don't have much to lose. You know, why would they fight? Again, I'm not offering advice. I'm just asking questions. If we had World War III, would Gen Z be willing to fight? How would they feel about the American empire?